Before we get going with our next episode, please welcome Chris Malden, today's co-host. We are thrilled to welcome to our podcast a true local legend, a woman whose incredible achievements have echoed throughout the international sports world. Her mantelpiece, or as she previously stated, her sock drawer, is undoubtedly heavy, holding a wealth of well-deserved accolades. Boasting an impressive collection of medals and awards from the prestigious Paralympic Games and the rigorous World Championships. Her talents on the track and on the road are undeniable, but her commitment to the LGBT community extends far beyond her athletic drives. One of her most recent support efforts to our community is one that's very close to home. She's gracefully accepted invitation to become the very first patron of Sussex LGBT. This groundbreaking commitment further cements her dedication to supporting and uplifting the LGBT community. Please join us in giving the warmest of welcomes to our extraordinary guest, Katie-George Dunlevy. Hello, welcome to the podcast, Authentically LGBT. How are you doing?
Great, and
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Good.
Welcome. Now, I like to start the podcast with a question that we are going to revisit at the end. And it's based on the term queer. So to you, does the term queer, well, what connotation do you have with that term? Is it a positive one? Is it a negative one?
I see it as a positive one.
Okay.
And I always have.
Okay.
I think maybe just on the age that it is positive to me and the years that I've been, out for the last, since I was 28, so I'm 44 now. I think it's like an umbrella. I just see it as an umbrella term for all the LGBT.
Yeah.
So that's,
Okay.
that's how I see it.
Nice. Okay. Because it does have a bit of trending, I think, going on in the community at the minute. Some of the older generation are not so favourable of the word queer. So I think for us as a company, we're just exploring that and we want to kind of get to know why people feel that way. But it's amazing that you kind of have it as an umbrella term, inclusive of everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely.
I think with the term queer, I think the older generation aren't in favour of it. I think it was more of a slur back then, whereas now the younger generation have sort of brought it and owned it effectively.
They've reinvented it, haven't they?
Yeah,
absolutely. You see it on everything. It's like you see you see it written down. It's everywhere. Where like years ago, I think you said that it was a slur, and they would have been shouted out in the streets, and it would have been a negative thing. Where I think it's changed these days. The young are using it more. So
yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us about your coming out story?
So I came out at the age of 28.
Okay.
To my family. I was in my first relationship then, and that's when I kind of like said, "Oh, by the way, my girlfriend isn't, my friend isn't a friend, she's my girlfriend." So I think it's very common actually that way. And my family said, "Oh, we realised, we thought that was the case," and they were kind of waiting for me to say it. And they were just, I think they were upset that I'd just kept it for so long. And it was.
But they can't do that bit for you, can they? No one can out you. You have to find that journey on your own.
Yeah.
So you were 28, did you say?
Yes, 28.
Was you at home at that time, or was you away?
No, I was away actually in Maidenhead.
Okay.
So I was home one weekend and told my family.
Okay. And what was you doing in Maidenhead?
I was living there at the time and I was rowing at the time.
Oh,
so
fine. Okay.
I'd been there for 7 years. I moved to Maidenhead to kind of carry on my career in rowing and see where I could go.
Okay.
And it didn't work out, but I had to kind of move there because there was a river there. There's no river in Crawley.
There is definitely no river.
So I had to train here. So I found a rowing club and a good women's squad in Maidenhead and decided to move there after university.
Oh, okay, cool. And where did you go uni?
Southampton Solent University.
To do?
Marine Environmental Science.
Oh, all right. Did you finish that?
I finished it, yeah. I haven't used it at all, but I started rowing there in my second year and I managed to get my degree, but really rowing was, I started representing Great Britain at that time and went to 2 World Championships, and that kind of really took, I was doing my studies at the same time as travelling to London to train with the GB squad, but also rowing with the club in Southampton.
That's a massive commitment, no?
Yeah, it was a big commitment, but I had huge ambitions. I just saw it as fell in love with it first, and then I could see that, there was World Championships that I went to, and then the Paralympics were ahead. So I was in Beijing, so I was kind of aiming for Beijing and London further down the line, but it didn't happen.
Is it something you've always wanted to do then? Rowing specifically?
No, I only just started at second year at university, so I just got the opportunity to try it out. And they were after a visually impaired sporty person, and my friend who went to college, who started rowing, gave my name and said, I know someone who's visually impaired and sporty, so she might be able to do it. And that's when I started it.
Right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you said you were in Maidenhead because of the rowing.
Mm-hmm.
When you were in Maidenhead, difference between Maidenhead and Crawley, is there a scene? Is there an LGBT scene in Maidenhead at the time?
No, there was nothing there, no.
Okay.
And even though I knew I was gay, I knew I had, feelings for women and everything, and there was nothing there. So I was going out, I was like rowing with the really good social scene there, social club. I was rowing and going out with my friends, but nothing was happening. I was having no dates, no relationships, most of my 20s. So it was kind of a hard time for me.
You said about coming out at 28. Quite an important question I'd like to ask is, when did you know though? When did you know you were gay? Or what age?
Well, I'd say in my teenage years, yeah. I'd say when I was probably 15, 16.
Yeah, because some people know later. Some people know. I know for myself. I came out at 19, but I knew. I'd probably say the start of secondary school, so sort of early teens. That oh, hold on, this is different. I'm feeling different, but yeah, I didn't come out till I was 19 and sort of delayed it. But it's good to understand that people do know when they're a teenager. They do know early on. Don't know about yourself.
Yeah.
When did I come out? So I came out when I was at sixth form. I mean, everybody knew, right, beforehand. But like you, they people can't tell you that. And also, I think I was quite naive. Well, I still am in some ways, but I didn't need that to exist, which is a blessing, I think. For a lot of people, I think they need that label, especially in today's society. So I think I was 17, maybe 18. I came out to a friend, then to my mum. But everyone that I spoke to was like, yeah, cool, we know.
Yeah, we
cool.
know.
Yeah. Which is nice because not everyone gets that, So there are some traumatic coming out stories that we hear of in our drop-in sessions on a kind of daily basis. So it's good that you've had a good experience in yourself. Was your coming out experience all right? No.
Varied.
Okay.
Like my mum was fine. My stepdad was the one that surprised me the most. He was the one that was like, yeah, I've always known. I thought, you could have told me. Like, do you know what I mean? But my dad, unfortunately, didn't take it so well, and we didn't speak for a few years. But now, we do have a good relationship now. But it wasn't the greatest.
Okay. But would you do anything different?
I'd have come out earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even earlier?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew. I mean, I knew there was something different, but not.
The stress on my shoulders was high, especially having just moved out, living on my own and trying to find myself as an adult, but then living with this weight as well without telling people. I mean, I knew when I told people that, the weight lifted straight off my shoulders, and it was...
This might be a really silly, maybe an odd question, but how did you know specifically? Like, how did you know that you wasn't fitting into the, society's construct norm?
It's just feelings that you have for people. So I think it's, you start to have feelings for people and, for women, and you're like, oh, well, I shouldn't be having these feelings.
School crushes.
It's not right. Yeah, crushes, like even on teachers.
Yeah.
I remember going, but I just thought, I really, really, well, obviously I was very fond of teachers, and then it was students and friends, and just
looking back,
people who were
I
close
think
to my life.
My feelings toward the teachers that you're talking about, I definitely just assumed that was a over fond, father figure, mother figure, whatever. But now looking back, it was probably that, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, same here as well. Yeah.
But we are all very similar in ages, dare I say, that we lived through Section 28. How did that affect your story as coming out as a lesbian?
Well, like I said, I kind of came out in my late 20s. And then I was in a town that there was just no support there, and it wasn't visible on TV or anything like that. So I just thought, the feelings I'm having aren't right, and kind of just like put them under the carpet and just kind of carried on with my life. So that kind of didn't affect me. It was more so, on how I felt. But yeah, definitely the visibility and things weren't there like they are now.
So if there was that visibility in school, I mean, at the time, schools weren't allowed to help you at the time. Obviously, there was no education about it. There was no support in school. Like you say, no role models. But if there was that, do you think it would be easier on your story? Or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It would have come out much earlier. And if it was on TV as well, and social media wasn't really a thing then, but now you have so many LGBT people who are out, and role models there, and sports people, and so many. It's just amazing.
Isn't it wild though? Because actually we've existed for forever. So we were all there beforehand, but no one was talking about it because we wasn't allowed, right?
Yeah,
I think like even 13, 14 years ago when I came out, it was very much, you can't speak about it. There was no support in schools. There was no support in friendship circles, in fairness, to be honest with you. I know that like talking about it in some schools is very controversial, especially age groups, but genuinely in secondary school, I think it should be talked about, and it should be support that's provided, because I knew in secondary school, and like yourself, if the support was there when I was younger, I definitely would have come out earlier. For sure.
So what you're saying, support in terms of you want it to be included in the curriculum, or a group, or a dedicated member of staff that person can go and talk to, or
a group, a dedicated member, so just somebody that you could go and express how you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, mine was my first boss when I was 18. Okay. He was openly gay, and I went and spoke to him and just can I have a coffee and a chat with you? And he was the person I told, out of all people. But I should have been able to have that conversation with somebody in a school setting, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, we have come a long way. I think we've come a long way. I think we are possibly reverting back in a lot of senses, which is a shame. Your experience at school to then, did you do sixth form or college?
I was sixth form.
Sixth form. Were they different places, or was it the same?
No, different places.
Okay, so was that different? Did you have a different experience at both school than sixth form, or was it the same?
Same experience in terms of like where I was, and again, I was older in college, so I definitely knew then that I was. But I had relationships, went out with boys.
Yeah, okay.
As you do. But I was very fond of them as well, and they were good friends. And I just along with it.
Do you think they knew? Well, no, probably not.
Possibly, yeah, possibly, maybe. I'm not in touch with them now, so I don't know. But yeah, and then at the time, I went to Worcester after going to the first school. So when I was diagnosed at the age of 11, my parents sent me away from Crawley to a school in Sevenoaks in Kent.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of got into sport and started sport.
Okay.
I was encouraged, and
so Sevenoaks, Kent, that's the making of you.
Yeah, that's where I started the competition as well. I was coached and at a high level. It was really, really good. And then I went from there to A-levels in Worcester, which was quite far away. Yeah. And I kind of struggled more so at that college.
Being away from home, that's...
Yeah, I think being away from home, because when I was in the one at Kent, I was home for the first year every day, and then in the second and third year, just in the weekends. So, but I was still... It was just down the road, really, compared to Worcester, which was miles away. Even though I was older, and I was doing my A-levels, I kind of struggled a bit more at the college. And but I did have the sport, and that's actually, do you know what? That actually kind of saved me in a way. I was able to.
I wanted to come on to this because we've previously spoken, so I know a little bit about your story anyway. And what struck me in that conversation was your drive and your ambition in sport specifically. Where did that come from? And do you think then possibly it's because of your identity and having to, at the time, cover your identity up, and therefore you become maybe hyper-focused on your career then? Maybe, is that fair to say? Or
yeah, I think when I was at college, it was definitely a way for me to cope. It helped me cope. But I went to the extreme where I exercised excessively. So, which, as well as doing all the kind of the sports, the competitions and the training I was doing. I was going to the gym every day as well, and I was just doing everything. Every day I was active, but I was a teenager as well, so I had lots of energy. But I think it helped me really cope with being away from home, not being out, and then so I was kind of very confused. And then I was also I underate as well, so I was kind of using that to control. So it's all a mental thing, I think, for me. that sport really. Then, of course, I got into competition of sport, and then at university I got into the rowing. But really at that time I enjoyed it and I loved it. It helped me get confidence as well because I had really low self-esteem as a child.
Okay.
So when I was at school and when I was at the college, the sport just helped me really actually get confidence. It was something that I could do. I loved it, but it was also an outlet for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned your eating. That's obviously linked to mental health. Your training, you're saying that helped your mental health in that sense?
Yeah.
Did your eating become healthier thereafter, or?
Only years later.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
At the stage at college, university, I wouldn't have been eating well at all. Like not eating enough for this training I was doing for the sport, for the energy that I needed. Like as I've been a professional cyclist for so many years, I've changed that now completely around.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best eaters on the squad now. So, yeah. So, but you just realise how fueling yourself for your, the training I'm doing, how important it is for my health, but not just for my training, for my health that's inside. So, my overall health, my bones, my muscles, everything, and my hormones, everything's so important for my life after sport as well.
It sounds a little bit like there's an element of control. So your training, you can choose to really hyper focus on that training. Same with the eating habits and that healthy relationship with both training and food. So do you now see yourself having those elements of control in your life? Or do you think now that you're out and you're proud and you're living your best life and you've got an amazing career, do you think that element of control maybe has disappeared a little bit? Or
I'm a bit of a control freak for sure, a little bit. I'm like my dad. I think we're the same star sign, so I put it down to that. But no, I'm a bit of a control freak. But it's definitely having something in your life that, when you've got so many things going on in your life and you're so confused when you're younger and it's all just feels like you're not in control of it. That's why I focused on like not eating and the food and just on the training. But now I'm out and I'm in a healthy relationship with food. Of course, I have to be because of the amount of training and racing I'm doing. And then, I'm successful in the sport that I kind of used as a way to help my self-esteem and to help me mentally. But now it's, I don't do it for that reason. But of course, it is helping my mental health.
Yeah.
But it's now I've got a goal and I've got a name there.
Nutrition is so important, isn't it? Chris, you're very physical in your job and what you do. So how do you think that's impacted you?
I don't know about yourself, but do you find like when you've got a goal in mind, so like the Olympics or the championships, are you a lot more locked in when it comes to training, food and everything else?
Yeah, literally it's every day of my life at the moment. I kind of plan my feed around my training because I know my training for the weeks ahead. So I know my training until Saturday when I fly to Belgium. I've got a competition next week. Yeah. So my feed is just so important this week. Just every day. If I don't eat one day, it's going to affect my training the next day or the next week.
Okay.
So it's just,
I think I'm very similar. I mean, I've competed in both boxing and mixed martial arts since I was young. And when I've got a fight date in mind, I am locked in. My training's on point. My food is narrowed down. But when I don't have that goal, I tend to veer off and sort of takeaways and red wine. And, I sort of lapse a little bit because I haven't got a focus in mind. I don't know if you...
Oh, that's I totally understand there. I haven't had a competition since September, so it's my first competition next week. I've just been training for all those months. So you say, that goal is way down the line. So of course, but I think it's just normal and it's human. You can, you're going to have a glass of wine occasionally and
everything in moderation.
Moderation, right? Yeah. And I think you have to. You can't be completely on it the whole time because it's just. I don't think it's good for you mentally, but also for your body.
It's probably also not sustainable. I don't.
It's not sustainable.
To be on that all the time, like you're saying, locked in all the time.
It's not sustainable. So certain times, my camps leading up to the World Championships or my camps leading up to the Paralympics, that's when we'll be totally locked in. Yeah. You wouldn't be on your feet for too long in between. Where now. Well, say a couple of weeks ago, I might have gone, I'll go for a walk. So it's actually good for me to go for a walk where in the village, the Paralympic village, you won't be on your feet as long, if you don't need to be. You'd be cycling to the village, to the food hall, and you'd be cycling back to the to the accommodation if it's too far to walk because that might affect your race, and its percentages are like we win and lose our race by like percentages, and that percentage could be what you eat or being on your feet or things like that, not resting, recovering enough. So it's really
there's so much more involved than I actually thought. I mean, I'm not sporty
there's
in
a
any
lot
way,
in
shape,
it.
or
so
form.
that's when you need to be really like go right. Like next week I'll be going okay, do the training, make sure we eat, but make sure we're resting as well before the racing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't understand the recovery is a massive aspect as well, especially pre-competition and post-competition. People don't understand that.
Absolutely.
Recovery is a big part of it. They want to be training all the time, but they don't let their bodies rest.
Physically and mentally?
Mentally, definitely.
Yeah, both.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think it's more. I think they're realising how important the recovery and rest is now more so. Years ago, you were doing just like flogged, like train. And I'm a bit like that. I'd be like, I need to get more hours in. I haven't been doing enough training. I've only done 18 hours this week. But it's all like, it's quality. But the recovery between those sessions is crucial. And I think that's what counts more so than the training sometimes.
I agree.
Interesting. While we're talking about your training and your sports world, where do you see yourself fit as a lesbian in the sports world? One, is it accepted where you are? I mean, it's probably not, an assumption for everybody, but where you are right now, do you feel like you are fully accepted? Has that always been the case?
Yeah, it's never been an issue, to be honest with you.
Great.
Yeah. So I've just been myself, been me. I came out just before I started cycling, but I was rowing at the time. And there's, I think, half of the female members in the squad are lesbians. So it's great to have that community actually in the squad, and other people who've kind of, know what you're, the community there, what you're going through, what you have been through, and that support there. And we can be open and talk about it in front of everyone in our squad. So we're not kind of hiding it at all.
From them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, that's so good. I mean, obviously this podcast is called Authentically LGBT. So it's amazing to hear that you think you can, or you are living that truth, which is so great. I'm sure some of our conversations won't be that. So that's incredible to hear.
Yeah.
I think it's, especially in sport, I think it's, I'll use this term loosely, easier for women to be out than it is men. And that's just my own personal experiences. I went through a lot of homophobia when I was training. I had to change clubs. I had opponents who refused to fight against me. I had opponents that even refused to spar against me because they didn't want to, in their words, fight a puff. That was what I heard all the time. And the bickering in the corner saying, I'm not going to spar with him, he might touch me. Or there's just such a misconception. And I had that for years, to the point where I then stopped fighting in 2021. And I was due to return this year. Unfortunately, the event got cancelled. But it's something that I'd had for years, and it made me want to give it up.
But I'm assuming these people are straight men.
Yeah.
We were talking actually in our office and in the team that I think a lot of, obviously we're gay men, so I think it's fair to say that in our world, it's very sexualized in our experience. I can't say for lesbians really, but I think that is what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're sexualizing gay men. Yeah. Which is a misconception beyond belief.
and very much same with, obviously, sport is your job, and very much within my job within the private security sector, it's still a very homophobic industry. I very reluctantly tell people when I first meet people.
Because it has that, to be a security person, to
macho image.
You have to have that macho image, and in society, we can't be that.
And that's something I've tried to change massively. And we post it all over our socials. As a business, we are proud to tell people we're wholly LGBT owned and operated, and we shout it from the rooftops. And some people say to me, well, why? Because that's me. That's what we represent, and we shouldn't hide it.
But that's not been your experience, and that's what you're saying, right? That's amazing.
I think you're right with them lesbians in sport. You see it, the women's rugby, football. A lot of them are out, and they've got amazing followers on social media, and it's the same with iSport. I feel like I could tell people and it won't be a problem, which I'm very lucky. So it's from years of denying it, and now I'm actually open and it's not an issue. I've never had homophobia in my sport.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, it's lovely to hear.
That's really nice.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
I think there's a misconception that say rugby and football, if you're a female in rugby and football, you're automatically gay. And I think that goes in certain sports, certain jobs. There's always misconceptions of certain roles that people undertake, whether they are gay or not.
Stereotyping, isn't it?
Stereotyping, definitely.
Stereotyping, yeah. I might have possibly a few comments on the tandem, so I'm on a team sport. There might have been comments there, but I've just completely kind of just ignored them. So that's the only negative, yes, as in like, I'm on the tandem, oh, she's gay as well, or it doesn't, whether she is or isn't, it doesn't matter. Like, we're a team, we're competing and training and racing together against the rest of them and rest of the world. So.
What's your favourite sport? Just going off topic now.
What's in what to follow?
Nice, yeah. What's your favourite? Cycling's your favourite?
Cycling, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. But not rowing.
No, I love watching it. I would follow the rowing, watch it. And I love the cycling. I'm watching, the spring classics are just finishing now, so I'll be watching them on the TV.
Nice.
And I like rugby as well. I like watching rugby, yeah.
You had an accident, did you, in Italy? What happened?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, it'd nearly be 2 years to literally in middle of May 2024, so 3 months before Paris.
Wow.
I crashed in a road race, the last road race of the season before the Paralympics, and I shattered my collarbone.
Ooh.
So yeah, which was a great, obviously.
That was you out, was it? You then couldn't...
No, so I have recovered and raced in Paris.
Wow, okay.
I've got a gold and 2 silver medals, but I didn't let it stop me. I was just, when it was an awful traumatic period, to be honest with you. It wasn't... It was really hard to go through, waiting for the operation with the bones all smashed up in my shoulder for about 5 days, and then having the operation in Ireland, flying over here and recovering. But as soon as I, was starting to recover, once I had the operation, I was just focused on, getting back cycling, recovering as best I can. And I kind of saw it as, it could have been worse. I could have broke my leg, my hip, hit my head, got concussed, because they're more serious injuries in cycling. I could cycle with one arm on the bike. So
it's a good outlook to have.
5 days after the operation, I was on the bike training.
Wow.
And building it up. And then 6 weeks later, I was back on the moving bike, on the tandem, on the track, on the road, training for Paris.
But that is because you're so ambitious and so driven. I don't know if everyone would do that.
Yeah,
that's an incredible testament to you.
Yeah, I trained so hard until that point, so I think I was in a good place of fitness. So I didn't lose too much fitness, really. Of course, it hampered my preparation a bit, of course. And then, the rehab I had to do on my shoulder, and then just actually the trauma of it all. But I wasn't going to let it stop me. I just saw it as motivation. I was like, I'm going to get there, and what will be will be. I will do my best. I will give my all. And hopefully I'll do well. So.
And you did?
Yeah.
You
amazing,
did.
yeah.
What did you get to?
So I got a gold in the time trial. So I retained my title from Tokyo and Rio. So I've won that 3 Paralympics in a row, the time trial. And then I got a silver in the pursuit on the track and a silver in the road race.
Wow. This is incredible. Yeah. I feel like we're talking to royalty. Okay, so I have a couple of questions now, if you're happy to answer them.
Of course.
I'm going to read them off of my card because they are quite long. Actually, no, we could do this one. Queer role models. Who? Maybe now, and then maybe when you were younger, and have they changed?
Okay.
No pressure.
Queer role models, probably quite a few. You have Skin from Samkhanphoto's one.
Okay, I'm just going to nod like I know who that is. Yep.
She's the lead singer of Samkhanphoto.
Okay.
Some sports people. So, Dame Kelly Holmes. So I loved Dame Kelly Holmes when I was a kid. So that'll be when I'm younger, but now also now. There's a few of the women English rugby players.
What was you
and Irish rugby
drawn
player.
to Dame Kelly Holmes when you were younger? Why was she your role model?
Well, I was big into athletics when I was a kid.
Fine.
And she was medaling when I was watching the athletics. And she came out only a few years ago, didn't she?
Yeah.
So she was kind of like my role model in that sporting way, but now it's both.
Right, yeah. So obviously because she wasn't out at that point, so that wouldn't have been I get you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Who else would there be? I can't think now, and I do have loads because I follow them all, and there's actually quite a few, oh, goodness gracious.
Is there any other sports in other role models?
Yeah, there'll be a few of the England rugby players, Irish rugby player, football rugby players, so the football players.
Would you ever try football or rugby?
No, I can't because I can't see the balls.
Oh. Of course.
That's why I'm doing sports. That's why I'm in a tandem.
Of course.
I did it when I was a kid at school for fun. My mind has gone blank. I can't think
What
of
about
anyone
you,
else.
Chris?
The Skins won it though, anyway.
Do you know what? I'm going to throw us back to our history now, and I think it's very important for us to remember our role models and, people like Martha Johnson, who, without her, we wouldn't all be able to be who we are. So I think it's very important for us to remember that. I think a lot of the youth of today don't understand the history of our community, and I think we should. But ultimately, I mentioned him earlier. My old boss was one of my role models to look up to. He was openly out, and he has been so successful in his career that I've looked up to him throughout that, and I still keep in contact now. I still do a bit of work with him, still do some training with him, and actually he's someone I could just pick up the phone to and have a conversation with him either about work or just something personal. Nice. And he wouldn't judge either way. So yeah.
Nice. I think mine would be my auntie. So growing up, my auntie, well, she came out quite later in life, actually. And I think I always knew on some level, just like I always knew about myself on some level, but naturally I gravitated towards her, probably because of that acceptance. But yeah, so I think, I know my auntie is not famous, but I think she would be my queer role model anyway.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So next question, are you ready? So in what spaces, and this might not exist either, but in what spaces do you find yourself having to filter your LGBT queerness?
I don't know. If I tend to go somewhere new, people I don't know, of course I wouldn't be telling people I am, and I wouldn't talking about really my private life. So
sure. I
think, because you wouldn't know what their reactions and what their...
But isn't that so sad? It's a fear of...
It is, yeah.
Fear of other people's opinions, and that's sad in today that we can't just be, you know what I mean?
And a lot of people, just, assume that I'm straight, but I would correct them though if they said something to me.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to, but initially I wouldn't be kind of really maybe talking about it.
But none of us walk around with a label on our heads. No. We shouldn't have to come out every time.
No.
So yeah, I get that. Chris?
Again, very much the same. If we go to new places or we go on holiday somewhere to a new destination, myself and James, my husband, if we go away, I try and keep it. I do try and hide it a little bit. I don't, public displays of affection, absolutely not. Just more of a risk of someone saying something. I mean, I'm very okay with, you can say things to me. I'm quite thick-skinned, but you don't get to say anything to him like that. That I just won't tolerate it. But I think on a personal level, it's within my work, doing the job I do and looking after some of the people I look after and clients. It's not the topic of conversation. It doesn't need to be. I do need to remember that. It's not my whole personality, but
absolutely,
it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect how I do my job. But when those conversations do come up, when you get to know your clients and then they say, well, we've got a wife for the kids, it's like, I've got to have this conversation. And 99% of them have always been positive reactions. And that's just been my worry about it. But you always get it. We did lose a contract because of it.
No way.
Yeah, one of our clients pulled us in and was like, you didn't tell me you were gay. Like,
what?
Why does that matter?
Wow.
Yeah, we lost quite a major contract for it. But that's why, again, like you said, you reserved on meeting new people and going new places, definitely.
So you mentioned public displays of defense. No, definitely
public
not.
Displays of affection.
Of affection.
Absolutely not.
You're not?
No.
Where do you lie with that, Katie?
Would
Would you hold hands with your partner?
Unless I'm in a safe space, so somewhere that is like, say, a gay bar or a place that I know is safe, then yes, different. In the street, and no way.
That's so sad. I mean, I am the same, but it's really sad. What about you?
Same, only if I felt safe. I think Brighton, Hove, Portslade, you can. Luckily, you see a lot of people holding hands there and LGBT, so that's great. Maybe around Crawley, maybe not. And out in public.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Possibly
call it.
Not, yeah.
So not to, boast with the work that we do, but before Crawley Pride and before Sussex LGBT existed, and this is probably because I wasn't looking out for it, but I don't remember seeing couples walk down the street, same-sex couples walking down the street holding hands. No. However, since we've existed, I have seen that. And maybe that is because I'm looking out for it a little bit, but I think, maybe we are finally breaking through the Crawley stigma. I mean, it's not great, it shouldn't, like I said to one of our audience members earlier, we shouldn't have to look out for it. We shouldn't then have to celebrate that because it's finally happened. It should just be.
I think that's why we do, is because we have our own personal feelings on it. So then when we look at it, we go, we should be able to do that. Why don't we do it? Or why is my mindset not, I would walk down the street holding my husband's hand? I think that's why we do it, because we think they're doing it, why can't I?
Yeah.
Yes, I get that. But then there is that element of fear and judgment. I think that is the reason why we don't do it. I mean, I don't think I am that anyway.
I'm not worried about the fear or judgment. I'm worried about my reaction to the fear and judgment. And that's my honest answer. Is I worry about what I would say or do if somebody was to say something. I mean, you say about safe spaces, out of all places in the world, the place we experienced the most homophobia was Gran Canaria.
No way, really?
Out of all places. And that should be the one place where we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I do sometimes worry about my reaction.
Is there anywhere in the world that you've been, because you're super well travelled, where that you feel like I can't be out and proud?
Well, a lot of the places I go to, I'm training camp or racing, so I wouldn't be.
You're not
there wouldn't be any holiday going on there. So I don't really know. Yeah, I haven't really need to go on holiday.
I do think it sends a message out to people that will watch this and ask themselves this question, especially straight couples. Ask yourselves this question: when you go on holiday with your partner, how many times do you have to research, is this place safe for us to go?
I do it every time.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are countries you would avoid doing it in. And you would have to look it up.
That's a sad reality.
Do you do that when you travel for work?
Not for work, because I'm just training and I'm racing.
Sure.
It's not with work.
You
and
go
we
there
wouldn't
with that
really,
purpose.
Yeah, we wouldn't be with out, and we wouldn't be with the public or anything.
Fine,
we're just literally in a hotel, and then we're on the bike on the road, and then we're racing, and then we fly home.
Okay.
So I wouldn't need to. Don't need to be looking out. I'm not there with my partner or my girlfriend, so I don't need to. But if I go on holiday, I would be. And there's countries you would avoid going to.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, there's countries where you think that you're not accepted, like Dubai, for instance. A lot of people have a misconception of that. I've just been there recently.
Right.
It was fantastic. I saw gay couples on the beaches. I saw gay couples in restaurants, both sexes, male and female. And they were just open and nobody batted an eyelid. I understand they have the laws and stuff there, but actually it's not as what people think it is. Yeah. But there are some places, like Katie said, that categorically you wouldn't go.
But how sad is that we have to do that?
And some
feel the need to do that?
Some places we legally can't go.
No. No, definitely not.
It is a sad reality, but I'm hoping that changes in the years to come.
Mm.
So I'm going to pass over now to the audience. This is your moment to shine.
Ooh.
This is your moment.
So this is going back to when you were talking about your day jobs and how they can be quite demanding. So to all of you, what does a perfect day off look like for you?
What's a day off?
That's a great question. It's been a long time. I don't know. What do you do in your recovery rest time?
I try not to do too much. To be fair, I try not to be on my feet too much. I should be recovering. It's my day off. I have one day off a week. But then I'm in that place where I need to be doing stuff because the rest of the time I can't be. So I'd either see my family or in Crawley here, or I just try and get out and do something, but try not to be walking and be on my feet too much. And then on my day off, I have to eat as much as I do on my training days. And sometimes that could be, you kind of get out of the, the flow of eating. So you have to make sure you eat. That nutrition is important on that day off as it is on the training days.
That's such a good question. Chris, what about you?
Oh, God. So it's harder for me, being somebody who's neurodiverse and has ADHD, and my brain works 100 miles an hour every day. I'm up 18, 19 hours most days. My sleep pattern is 5 or 6 hours. That is a normal routine for me. So I can't switch off. I can't have a day off. And like Vince, as business owners, you don't switch off. But for me, it is about doing something meaningful. So for me, it'd be a day out with James, say up in London, go see a show, go and have dinner, do something meaningful that's a memory. And actually then that's considered.
You love a holiday.
I do love a holiday. Yes, I do like to travel. But then I can switch off when I'm on holiday because I've got a purpose. I'm on holiday. It's our time. It's not work time. Yes, I still take my laptop.
I was going to say, do you take your phone? Do you take your laptop?
Yeah, because you have to. As
my husband would not let me do that. Absolutely not. He would be like, that is staying in the hotel room.
Yeah, I as far as, just having a chill day, sitting on the couch watching TV all day, I couldn't think of anything worse. My brain would not allow that.
So now I'm older before my time. I love my garden. I do. I'm a green-fingered man. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. I love my garden. I have my chickens. Slightly different now. Obviously, I've got my baby boy. I don't really get a chance to do any of that. But yeah, that's, if I had a moment to breathe, that's what I would probably be doing. Still active, still doing something. So no, not laying on the couch doing nothing. I couldn't think of anything worse. Still being very active. What a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Any other questions over there?
So my question is relating to what you were saying earlier about the lack of homophobia within your sport. What, with the wave of recent bans for trans people, trans women in particular from sports, particularly around like the Olympics and things like that, what your opinion is on all of that and what the vibe is of people within your sport particularly?
Well, so when it comes to sport, I think everyone should have the opportunity to do sport. Because when I was a child, I was left out of sports because I was visually impaired at school. Luckily, I got encouraged and involved in sport through, being at the special school and able to take part. So I think it's really important that everyone should have the opportunity to. With the ban to trans, I'm in many ways about it. I think trans should be able to do sport, but with women's sport, I'm not sure, just because of women still it's still not equal in sport for women, and we've been fighting for it for so long. So it's that kind of thing for me where I don't think it's fair on women. But I'm kind of like
on the fence.
On the fence, yeah.
It's difficult to take the personal attack, if you will, from the situation. So obviously we can't take the fire away from that because it is such a controversial subject at the moment.
It is, yeah.
But everyone has their own opinion, and everyone's got the right to their own opinion. And and if you're on the fence, you're on the fence. So why are you on the fence? You're on the fence because of women having to fight for what?
So, well, it's still
equality.
Women in sport are still not. I see it all the time in terms of when it comes to our, the male competitors and different, like I said, the tandem, where when it comes to the competitions, they'll change they'll change it for us, but not for the men. It's always us. We're kind of like, oh, well, the women won't mind if we do this, that kind of thing. And
right.
If we're usually raced with the male tandems, we're pulled to the sides, they go past, which is fine and everything, but they'd sometimes slow us down to stop us in our race and affect our race. So that's just like, that wouldn't happen to the men, even though we're probably faster than half of the men in competing. So there's just things that we see there and we come across. And just in terms of women fighting for sport, it's been 3 years in terms of, the sponsorship ambassadors and everything like that. Women's in sport don't really get that compared to men.
Yeah, I think with that, I've got personal experience with what you're saying. My sister used to play for Chelsea Ladies, and all the way through her career from when she was young, all the way from about 10, all the way up to sort of late teens, there was no support, both financially for the sport, for women. My sister had to pay for her own kit, her own boots. There was no financial rewards, whereas the boys of her age were getting paid to play. They had all their boots paid for, their uniform paid for. So yeah, I really agree. There is still more to do in the equality for women in sport, definitely.
Do you think there's some relation in that though? So obviously it's a completely different subject, but there is equality fighting for equality for women, but there is also an element of fighting equality for the LGBT community, but also specifically the trans community. Mm-hmm. So there is an element of having to fight for all equalities? And do you think that will ever stop? Do you think we'll ever win to find that wholesome, everyone's equal?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one. I don't know. You know, like trans people should be able to do sport and do sport. Like sport is so important and I think activity in so many everyone's life.
Yeah.
I think it's just like I've seen what it's done for me in terms of being active and yeah, it's just when it comes to women though, I think it's just it can be, you know, unfair. So that's where I stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. On the back of what Katie was just saying, is there anyone in the audience that might have like a follow-up question on that?
Yeah, Steph, I just wanted to ask you a question. I'm assuming, based on what you've said, the question you've asked and how you've responded, Katie, that you have different opinions. So it'd be really helpful, Steph, if you could share yours so we have a balanced view. And I think that would be a nice conversation for us to have.
So yes, my opinion is, I don't say it's concrete in one single respect, because I'm a biomedical scientist and I'm obviously going through transition. And I've looked at the science and I've obviously felt things myself in regards to how my physiology changes. And only the other day I had a bit of a weird moment trying to pick up something heavy and just flat out couldn't, saying that wouldn't have even been a slight issue a couple of years ago. And yeah, the science is still out there. We're still trying to learn exactly what it does, because it does affect things like muscle mass, it does affect bone density, it does affect things like red cell production and how much oxygen you can actually carry within your blood. And so there's a lot of things saying that trans women are, for example, like far, far closer towards the biology of, and this is where it gets really complicated, most cis women, because we don't actually know that most cis women are like pure XX chromosomally, or don't have other odd expressions in how their genes actually work. And we end up with all these different intersex cases and all these things that you hear about, like the boxers and things during the Olympics, and how lots of the bans aren't really workable because they're trying to test particular levels of things just to go yes or no. And I think this is where I find particularly Paralympians a bit more interesting in this concept, because obviously you're used to working in particular brackets compared to most of the rest of the Olympics. So, for example, with most of Olympic cycling tends to be like they'll do, and do correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not the best, I'm not the biggest follower of sport, but they'll mostly have a single class or single race, where the Paralympics will be split into how they are able to fairly compete against each other. Yeah. And so I think that's where it could be more interesting, is when instead of a blanket ban, you are able to actually compare abilities to put people into equivalent classes where it's not going to become an advantage one way or the other. So that's kind of where I stand. That I don't say it's a necessarily 100% support of, no matter where you are in transition, no matter the moment you say, yeah, you can compete in whatever sport you like, but I also don't think that it's a blanket ban is justified.
It's a really difficult conversation to have, isn't it? Because actually, I think, right now, I think it's got a charged energy about it. And I think some women, I obviously shouldn't assume, but some women have a very strong opinion that they aren't willing to educate and learn. And then also on the other side of it, you have trans people who are willing to learn and do see the struggles that specifically women in your case have gone through, but they're fighting for their own equality. So it is such a difficult conversation to have. And I think as long as we keep having that conversation and people are open-minded on both sides of the coin, then hopefully, there will be a resolve at some point. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. But hopefully at some point in the future, we can have this conversation again and we'll have a resolve.
Yeah, I think a fantastic response from both, though. I think, Kate, for your honesty, for your opinion, and Steph for articulating that really well. I mean, that was a really good question.
Okay, this is to Katie. What advice would you give to young disabled LGBT people who want to get into sport?
To find maybe, there is support out there. There's like charities, there's enterprises out there. So get in touch, see if there's anyone there to help you get into sport. There'll be a sport out there for you that you can do, and to try different sports out and kind of really never give up as well. It is a bit of a fight. I think when a disabled person, disabled child, my mum and dad had to fight hugely for me and my sister who's disabled as well, in terms of, education and sport and everything. But there is help out there. It's just trying to find that help, reaching out, and like I said, never kind of giving up. There'll be lots of obstacles in your way, but just keep going. There'll be something out there for you, whether it's a hobby or a sport that you do, as a career. There's something there for you.
So we have moved on to the last section of our amazing podcast. Thank you so much. And that is our previous guest, like many podcasts at the moment are doing, they leave a question. So I've got the questions here, but I would like you to choose 1 to 4, because I've got 4 questions in my hand. And depending on what number you choose will be the one that I read.
Okay.
1 to 4.
Go for 2.
Oh, okay. Okay, we talk about safe spaces quite a lot, especially obviously in the work that I do. But what does an LGBT organisation need to do to make you feel seen, heard and safe in their safe space? So some organisations, put a window sticker on in the window, but I think what we're saying is they need to do more than just a sticker.
Yeah, I mean, social media is huge these days. Social media, maybe kind of events that they can attend, so they can meet other people.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing here is absolutely fantastic. To have this in
thank
Crawley.
you.
I wish I had this when I was a kid.
Me too.
yeah. Would have made such a difference. So I'm sure you're making such a difference to so many people. And then the more, the bigger it's getting now, Sussex, just more people know about it.
I hope so. I hope that we're doing the right
and there's
thing.
a community here now, which is so important.
Yeah.
Have that community. There's a big community in Brighton, but Crawley, to have that here, and then the towns and villages, there isn't that. And people are, they're not able to be out. They haven't got that community there, and they feel trapped because they can't.
Yeah.
So this is so important.
I was talking to a client of ours the other day, and I was talking about it being like a web of network. Mm-hmm. So from grassroots to corporates to schools to the council, I think there needs to be like a through line between all of these different people and kind of community trailblazers. And that is the only true way, I believe, we are going to see a change and a difference to how possibly these safe spaces, or spaces that, we can walk into, Asda, if you go to Asda, Sainsbury's, if you're a bit more bougie, that's the only way we're going to see that change and that difference, I believe. But yeah,
I think it comes down very much to everything that Sussex LGBT is about, and it's education. There's a lot of misconception within our community of what people think of our community or understand of our community. And one big thing that Vincent and team have done very well over the last 6 years is educating people and giving people the understanding. And I think that is something we really need to push and really need to educate.
But not judge, right? So there could be people that walk in here, or we go into an organisation, we don't judge them for not having that information.
Yeah.
We don't judge them for having that misconception. Because actually at the end of the day, where did they get that misconception from? Lack of education through their family line, through school, Section 28. So actually it's, in some cases, it's not their fault. And we have to be, as a community,
I agree.
quite resilient to that. And, offering that. And as long as they're willing to learn, I think that's the main point, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have got to the end of the podcast now. I can't tell you how excited I was for you to be on this podcast. So thank you so much for being here. And for Chris, for being our co-host.
No, you're welcome.
That's amazing.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I do have another thank you, and that is for Awards for All, who funded this amazing podcast and this episode specifically, and to Sam Khan, who is behind the scenes and behind those cameras for being fabulous in our podcast. So thank you once again, Katie, for being with us today. It's been an absolute honour.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and listening to our podcast. And we are hoping that you are going to help us out by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, all of the usual, because actually with your involvement, we might be able to continue this podcast and commission a few more episodes to help people like yourselves. I just want to reiterate that if you have been impacted by what we've spoken about in these episodes, then please do find the links to support in the descriptions below.